High above the trees, beyond the last road, a mountain lake rests in perfect silence. Snow clings to the peaks around it. Cold wind ripples across the water. There are no houses, no boats, no nearby towns. Just rock, ice, sky, and a lake so isolated that it feels like it has been hidden from the rest of the world. Then, beneath the surface, something flashes. A fish. Maybe a trout. Maybe a char. Maybe a whole school of fish moving through water that seems completely cut off from every river and ocean on Earth. And suddenly the lake is no longer silent. It is asking a question. How did the fish get here? Did they swim up a mountain? Did birds carry their eggs through the sky? Did someone secretly release them? Or have they been hiding there since the time of glaciers? The answer is one of nature's greatest travel stories, because fish do not need roads. They do not need airplanes, and sometimes they do not even need humans. But first, we have to solve one important mystery. Not every mountain lake has fish. That may sound surprising. When people picture a beautiful alpine lake, they often imagine trout jumping near the shore. But many high mountain lakes were naturally fishless for thousands of years. They had insects, tiny crustaceans, algae, frogs in some places, maybe salamanders, but no fish. Why? Because a lake can be a perfect home for fish and still be impossible for fish to reach. A fish needs water, of course, but it also needs a route. It needs a connected stream, a river network, a flood channel, a temporary passage, or some other path leading from one body of water to another. And mountains are experts at creating barriers. Cliffs interrupt streams. Waterfalls block upstream travel. Ice seals off valleys. Ridges divide entire watersheds. A lake may look close to another lake on a map, but for a fish, a few kilometers of dry rock can be as impossible as crossing the moon. So if a mountain lake contains fish, the first question scientists ask is simple. Was this lake ever connected to another water system? Often the answer is yes. Now imagine the end of an ice age. For thousands of years, enormous glaciers cover valleys, scrape mountainsides, and carve deep bowls into the landscape. As the climate warms, the ice begins to retreat. Where the glacier once sat, water gathers. A new lake is born. At first it may be completely empty of fish, but lower down the mountain, streams are flowing. Rivers are reconnecting. Meltwater is rushing through valleys that have changed shape again and again. Over time, fish may move upstream through these connected waterways. This journey is not easy. They must push against currents. They must survive cold water. They must find routes through changing channels. They must avoid waterfalls, predators, and dead ends. But if the connections remain open long enough, fish can slowly spread into new habitats. This is how many freshwater fish populations expanded after glaciers disappeared. The fish did not climb the mountain in one dramatic leap. They followed water, one stream at a time, one generation at a time, one valley at a time. And sometimes, by the time humans arrive, the fish have already been there for centuries or thousands of years. But that is only one path into the mountains, because people have been moving fish too, for a very long time. Imagine early travelers reaching a clear mountain lake filled with nothing but insects and tiny creatures. To some people, that lake may have seemed like an opportunity. What if it could provide food? What if fish could live there? What if a remote lake became a place for fishing? Across many regions, people intentionally carried fish or fish eggs into mountain lakes. In more recent centuries, agencies and communities stocked lakes with trout and other species to create recreational fisheries. Sometimes fish were transported in containers. Sometimes eggs were carried in special boxes. Sometimes aircraft were used to reach lakes that had no road at all. Yes, fish have been flown into mountain lakes. Picture a small plane passing over sharp peaks and blue water. Below, a lake glitters like a mirror. The plane releases young fish into the water, beginning a new population in a place where fish may never have lived naturally. It sounds almost magical, but it can also change an entire ecosystem. A fishless lake is not empty. It may contain a delicate web of life that evolved without fish. Tiny animals move through the water. Insects develop below the surface. Amphibians lay eggs along the shore. Birds feed on creatures that live in the lake. When fish arrive, they may eat animals that once had few or no underwater predators. That can change the food chain. In some places, stocked fish have reduced native amphibian populations or changed the numbers of insects and small aquatic animals. In other places, managed fisheries have become an important part of local recreation and culture. This is why fish stocking is not simply a question of adding more life to a lake. It is a decision that can reshape the life already there. And now we come to the wildest possibility of all: birds. For generations, people have looked at fish in isolated lakes and wondered whether birds could carry fish eggs from one place to another. It sounds impossible at first. A bird lands in a pond. Tiny fish eggs stick to its feet, feathers, or beak. Then the bird flies away and lands in a mountain lake. Could the eggs survive the journey? Maybe. Scientists have found evidence that some fish eggs can survive being moved by waterbirds under certain conditions. Experiments have also suggested that a very small number of fish eggs may even survive passage through the digestive system of some birds. It is an astonishing idea. A duck eats fish eggs in one wetland. The duck flies away. Later, some eggs may emerge alive in another body of water. A fish's journey could begin inside a bird. But this does not mean birds are constantly filling every empty lake with fish. For this to happen successfully, many unlikely things must line up perfectly. The bird must encounter the right kind of egg. The egg must survive. The bird must travel to a suitable lake. The egg must arrive in the water. It must hatch. The young fish must survive. And there must eventually be enough fish to create a breeding population. That is a lot of luck. Still, nature has an unbelievable amount of time. What seems nearly impossible on one day may become possible when millions of birds fly across landscapes for thousands of years. A rare event, repeated again and again over deep time, can change the map of life. And fish eggs are not the only travelers. Birds can move seeds between wetlands. They can transport tiny creatures stuck to feathers or feet. They can carry microscopic life from pond to pond. A lake that seems isolated to us may not be isolated at all. To a migrating bird, it is one stop among thousands, but there is another route fish can take. Floods. A lake may look cut off today, but landscapes change. During powerful storms, overflowing rivers can temporarily connect places that are normally separate. Water may rush across low ground, fill channels, and create short-lived pathways. For a fish caught in the current, a flood can become a surprise journey. One moment it is in a river. The next, it is in a pond, a wetland, or a lake that was unreachable before. Most fish will not survive every strange trip, but some will. And if even a few reach a suitable new habitat, the story can begin again. That is the secret behind fish in mountain lakes. There is rarely just one answer. Some fish arrived through ancient river systems after glaciers melted. Some were carried or released by humans. Some may have spread during floods. And in rare, remarkable cases, eggs may have traveled with birds. Every lake has its own history. One lake may contain native fish whose ancestors followed a river long ago. Another may contain trout introduced by people decades earlier. A third may have no fish at all, and that may be exactly how nature shaped it. So the next time you stand beside a mountain lake, look beneath the surface and remember what you may be seeing. Not just a fish, a traveler. Its ancestors may have followed a river through a changing world. They may have crossed valleys after the ice disappeared. They may have arrived in a container carried by people. Or perhaps their story began with a bird flying high above the mountains, carrying one tiny possibility to a new lake. The lake may look still, but its history is moving. How do you think fish reached the most isolated lake you have ever seen? And what amazing mysteries should Andy explore next?